I'm Alex. I'm with Cloze. Thanks for joining today. I really appreciate it. Today, I'm going to run through some introductory slides, give you an overview of what Cloze is all about, and then I'm going to start to get into some of that training we've been talking about. We've done several sessions to give you an overview of all the benefits of using Cloze as your CRM of choice. Today, we're going to start to get into some of the actual training, so hopefully you've had a chance to sign up, dive into Cloze. If not, this is a good session to refer back to. We've got lots of recordings of the previous ones. Wednesday, we're going to do one that does the overview again. So if you want to get the full overview, you can go to that. But I am going to recap today, so you should get a good feel of what we're all about. As a reminder, if you got questions, ask them on YouTube chat or ask them in EXP World. A bunch of my colleagues are there to answer questions. They're going to answer those as we go. And then if there's any time at the end, we'll also take questions from the audience or anything they might have not gotten to as I was presenting. So with that, I'm going to get started. If you're not familiar with Cloze, we're an AI-powered sales and marketing platform that includes a CRM, marketing automation, and lead management. We're the standard CRM for Sotheby's International Realty, Corcoran, Windermere, and a whole bunch of other brands where sphere selling is the core of what they do. This is one of the key reasons we're the CRM of choice, one of the CRM of choice options for EXP. Lofty and Bold Trail, great for businesses driven purely off lead gen and advertising. We're great for that too, but for sphere selling, nothing compares to Cloze. And I'm going to tell you why, and that's what we're going to dive into today. So when it comes to how we operate, it's a little different than most platforms. You can kind of think of a traditional CRM as an empty box, and you got to put everything into that box. You got to manually create contacts. You got to log activities, your calls, your texts, just a lot of work. You got to set reminders. And so we tend to try CRMs and then we kind of fade over time because there's just too much work. With Cloze, we're very different. So when you first come in, we're going to have you connect your email accounts to Cloze. So that can be your Google account, your 365 account. It could be an old Yahoo account, whatever you got. Connect those to Cloze. Connect as many as you'd like. We're also going to have you connect your phone to Cloze. So that's your iPhone, an Android phone. And we're going to log all of your text messages and your calls automatically on your real phone number. We're the only guys out there that do that. In fact, you don't have to do anything inside of Cloze. We're going to be doing that outside of Cloze, and it'll just bring in automatically. We're going to go back in time as far as we can go across your email, calendar, calls, and texts, analyze all that information, and that's where it gets really interesting for you. Lots and lots of different services you can connect to Cloze. You can see just a small sampling there. But the key thing here is we're eliminating all that busy work, tracking things automatically for you, and making sure it's all organized in one place. So you're going to see all your contacts brought together in one place and all your communications. When you first get into Cloze, it's the opposite of that empty box. Everything is there for you. You've probably heard, as you've listened to a lot of AI experts out there over the years, talk about how important large amounts of information are to doing really good AI, right? Cloze can do that for you because of all these streams of information that are going through your Cloze account. Now, of course, natural question here is going to be, well, what about privacy? Cloze has been built from the ground up to be private and secure. In fact, it's architected very differently than most CRMs you've seen out there. A lot of CRMs, they kind of blend everything together. With Cloze, every single person has their own unique database. So everything's walled off. Nothing is commingled. Really important. At the core of all that, everything is private. Nobody at Cloze can see your personal information, which is pretty important. So nobody can see that content. Nobody at EXP, nobody on your team. Even if you somehow let your assistant in there, it starts off as private and then you got to open things up. So we operate from very much a private-centric view of the world, and that's because we operate all over the world. So we fall under some of the strictest privacy programs in the world. You'll see that reflected in our privacy policy. So for example, there's the GDPR in Europe. We have EU citizens that use Cloze. We have EU citizens that are in databases inside of Cloze. All of that results in us following the GDPR and giving you tools to follow that. So we follow this very strict set of privacy guidelines and restrictions that I think is just good for everyone. So you can rest assured that your information is private and secure. We also get audited all the time by tech companies like Google and other brokerages and brokerage platforms. So a lot of rigor goes into this process of keeping your information private and secure. And you can always ease into it too. So you want to wait, hold off, connect your phone later. Again, really well-loved feature. You can do so. You can ease into it lots of controls there, even when you're working on a team. So we got lots of team functionality, but you can also ease into how you share and collaborate within Cloze. This also gives you portability. I know you're investing in tools, and nobody likes to talk about leaving their brokerage or leaving their team or anything like that. But if you invest in it and you put your sphere in something, you want to know that you can get it out, right? So with Cloze, you can not only get it out, but you can also take the whole account with you. Again, part of that unique design of Cloze that everybody has their own database. You can unplug, and we see this. We see agents unplug and plug into a different brokerage while keeping their Cloze account. You have that option too. Okay, so it's connect as much as you like. Take advantage of all the AI that we have and all the automation, but you can ease into it over time. So let's dive into some of those features, and I'll get you started. Good example. We get tons and tons of email. Cloze will analyze your emails and catch things that you might have missed. So you really think of Cloze more like a personal assistant, right? It's keep an eye on all your email. So in this example, somebody needs something from me on Saturday morning. So please give me a call Saturday morning. Well, Cloze is going to catch this and remind me on Saturday morning. Cool. Nobody likes cutting and pasting contact information. Cloze will grab contact information out of email signatures. So you can imagine getting a referral, right? Somebody introduces you, you start going back and forth with them. They say, sure, give me a call on Saturday morning. Cloze is going to remind you on Saturday morning. It's going to have already created the contact for you and already updated it with any contact information it finds in email signatures. So you don't have to do anything. All you got to do is say, hey, it's a hot lead, right? Hot buyer, hot seller, done. Makes it really easy. One of the things we're going to dive into today is how it can help keep you in touch with your sphere. So it's going to mine your sphere, look for opportunities. One of the unique things about Cloze is that because it's watching across all the people you've ever contacted, it's going to surface people that are important. So it uses AI to understand your relationships, who's important to you, and it will bring them back in front of you automatically. So it's going to nudge you to stay close to your sphere. This is how we get repeat clients and referrals. We stay on top of the people that are important, and they're going to give us referrals, and they're going to repeat with us because we're giving them a high degree of service and we're staying close to them. Cloze does a really good job of this. So instead of having to look for people to reach out to, Cloze is giving you an agenda every single day. And that's what you see here. That includes all the people that's recommending you stay in touch with. So you can invest a short amount of time in just doing the work rather than spending a lot of time going to find the work that you need to get done and organizing it and creating a to-do list and doing all that. We're just going to bring that all in front of you, and then you can take action right from there. In fact, you could just swipe, make a phone call, send an email, really easy. So we're trying to eliminate all that extra work you usually have to do just to get started. Every single day, you're going to get an agenda. And that agenda is going to be actually sent to you via email too. We'll send you an email, but you're going to see it right in the Cloze app. You can do it on your computer. You can do it on your phone. Same functionality. Doesn't matter if it's an iPhone, an Android phone, or you're doing it on your computer. I like to start off on my phone because I can make calls right from there. Okay. A key feature, but really based on analyzing that full rich history of your communications and building it up. When we look at this information, in fact, we see way more contacts than a typical CRM. Typical CRM gets about 12% of people because you've had to spend all that time manually creating contacts. With Cloze, you get the other 88%. All the people you're interacting with are there and available to you. We keep them off to the side so we're not overwhelming you, but they're there, and our AI can surface them at the right moment if needed. Good example. A lot of people start off with a new tool, and they're pretty skeptical. Julia was very much that way. She got in. She's like, all right, taking the first class like this one, tried a bunch of tools. They're all kind of the same, right? But we said in that first class, connect your email accounts, the accounts that you do for business, connect your phone, let Cloze do its thing, let its AI run, analyze your communications, and then check that agenda. And I'll show you the agenda in a second. That agenda surfaced a client of hers that she hadn't talked to in a long time, and he was ready to buy again. It was that simple. So her advice here was do it, dive in, trust the AI, it will help. So there's some overthinking that sometimes happens because we got to micromanage everything. The nice thing about AI is it can do a lot of work for you without you having to do it. So behind the scenes, a lot's happening. It's going to surface people and just dive in. And we've got tons of stories like this. So I get it. It's easy to be skeptical, but these stories exist out there and it happens all the time. Another way we help is we'll automatically set goals for you based on your own past history. And so if you've ever used a health app on your watch, it's very much the same way. So if you've ever set up that app, the health app, you didn't actually set anything up. It just analyzed your behavior, how many steps, how many flights of stairs, how much you run, walk, whatever it is, does all that as you use it. And then it starts setting goals. And those little rings, it'll nudge you and say, hey, a couple more flights of stairs, do some more steps, that kind of thing, right? But you didn't have to set it up, and it keeps you on pace by giving you subtle nudges. We did the exact same thing with Cloze. Analyzes all that communication history back in time, who you're talking to, when you're doing your outreach, and we'll set the goals. When you connect skysloper.loop, we'll bring in your sides. So those will come in, your GCI, and that information is there too. So it's based on your individual work, and it will just nudge you sent carefully and make sure you're moving along. So really, really helps you stay on pace, and it understands seasonality, it understands how you work. So if you do most of your work on Wednesdays, it's not going to overwhelm you on Mondays, that kind of thing. Another thing we'll dive in today is to how to set important dates. So when you connect skysloper.loop, we're going to set purchase and sale anniversaries for you automatically. We'll even organize them as clients, buy side, sell side. And then we'll nudge you on those days because it gives you a good reason to reach out. Hey, it's been a year, it's been 2 years, whatever you want. And then you can also set up things like birthdays and real estate reviews. And what we do is we just get them on the agenda, and then you can reach out in a personal way. Gives you a nice way to engage, because you might want to pick up the phone or send a text, that kind of thing. You can automate them. You can send them out via email if you'd like, but a lot of people like to do the personal piece. So just a thing you can do there. Okay, so for today's class, this is where I'm going to really dive in and start to show you how you can get organized, because this is the foundation of everything you're going to be doing with Cloze. As I go, I'm going to be getting into fewer slides and more demo, just to give you a feel for everything, but let's dive in to how it works. So I want to review some of the key sections of Cloze. We'll go through that. I'm going to do it on my computer. I'll do a little on my phone. I'm going to go through some terminology, how you can start organizing, and a little bit of, the details around custom fields and things like that. Give you some tips. And if you have questions, if you've already dived into Cloze and started to use it, feel free to ask those questions of my colleagues. All right. Okay, so I'm in my Cloze account here. This is a demo account. As you look down here, this is the Cloze agenda. So this is what I was just showing you. You can see we've surfaced a purchase anniversary, a birthday, a real estate review, some keep in touch reminders. So I've got 8 people today that Cloze has recommended. You're going to see different cycles: 39 days for Gina, 4 months for Arthur, 15 days for Jennifer. In your settings, and I'll review a few of these, you can fine tune how often Cloze reminds you. But in all cases, it's always based on your real activity. So a text, a call, an email, a meeting, whatever real in-person or over the phone or through text type of communication you have will drive how often Cloze reminds you. If you're already talking to somebody, it's not going to remind you because you're already talking to them. It's only when you get out of touch. So this is a typical agenda. You're going to see meetings from your calendar, important dates that we've, messages that we've flagged, things like that. And then at the bottom, you're going to see a history of all the calls and meetings you've had for the day as your day unfolds. So a lot here in one place. Here's that coaching section at the top, the goal tracking. Gives you one place to go. To start here, this is really where you want to start your day. You don't want to spend your day flipping through contacts, trying to figure out who to call. Let the AI help you. Let Cloze help you. Our general goal, and I've talked to lots of coaches about this, they don't want you spending hours and hours a day behind your CRM. It doesn't make any sense at all. You got to be out there doing your thing, right? You want to be out there with your clients. That's the most important thing, is maintaining those relationships and spending time with your clients and your prospects. What Cloze does is give you a very compact way, an efficient way to get through staying in touch with your sphere, making sure nothing slips through the cracks. You're not missing any leads or anything like that, but you're staying on top of it all without having to do a lot of work to get yourself in that position. So a lot of people contort themselves to make sure they're not missing anything by going through lots and lots of lists and things like that. You don't have to do that with Cloze. You're going to know very precisely the last time you talked to somebody. So you go down, you can see all the different sections here. For the agenda itself, you can flip ahead. So if you want to see what's coming up or what's past due, anything like that, you can do so. If I click on inbox, this is a regular inbox. So if you've used Outlook or Gmail, I'm sure you have an inbox, you can reply and respond, exact same thing. When I send and receive email, I'm using the Cloze inbox. It's just like any other email tool. When I send it through Cloze, I am sending it through my Gmail or my Outlook or iCloud or whatever I'm using. I'll see it in the sent folder outside of Cloze. So exact same thing. We do divide the inbox into all mail, that's all your mail, and then focused is from real people, and bulk is just that. We tend to have a lot of bulk mail, as you can see there. If I go to the people section, that's where we're going to spend most of our time today. This is where all your contacts are going to come in to Cloze. So contacts that have come in through your Google account, through your Outlook account, phone contacts, any spreadsheets you've imported or had us import for you. Remember in our other classes, we talked about that. If you have a spreadsheet you've exported out of another CRM, send it to us and we'll help you get it imported and Cloze. Take care of that for you. I'm going to go into a different account to show you how to start to organize, but this is the people section. Lots of different views that you can switch between. So I'm in the table view right now. Kanban board lets me look more progressively. So I got my warm, my hot, my in contract closed. I can see and I can drag people between columns, that kind of thing. So different views, and then list and details is kind of like a speed view. You can keep the left column and you can keep going through contacts. So lots of different options for you that you can use. And then more power type features as I'm doing a lot of filtering. You can even create what we call audiences, and these are kind of smart audiences or smart lists, if you've heard that term, where you can set it up and then contacts get automatically added to them. So it's just a way to, it's like a save search almost, save filter. And you can see here, if I click, I can see I've got lots of these audiences or smart lists, if you're familiar with that term. If I go down to properties, this is where properties are going to feed in automatically from EXP. So we've integrated with your listing system. So any listing you have is going to come into Cloze. So you can imagine here's a listing I've got, came into Cloze automatically there for you. So you can keep track of everything. You can add buyers and sellers to it. So if you're sell side, you can put the sellers in there, and then Cloze is going to keep track of everything. So any listing you have is going to come in. You can add the sellers to it. If you're buy side, you can create a buy side transaction and keep track of what the buyers are doing. You can use that section for this. And remember, we've got a Canva feature deeply integrated with Canva so that you can send all this information, so pictures, description, all of that, right over to Canva, and we'll instantly create the material. So if I select this one, you can see it's got the property, my name, and all these templates. If I hit create, it's going to create these designs for me over in Canva. This is a feature I think you're going to love. And in fact, we're meeting with the team, the marketing team today to go through and get some of these designs finalized for you so you can start taking advantage of this. But you can see here, it created all these listings for me on the fly, super quickly, and everything from a video to, you can see there's a pretty elaborate video to a Facebook ad, Instagram, and it just created these all on the fly. So it's super helpful. New feature for you to take advantage of. Instead of having to do the drag and drop, this will make it really, really easy. So this is coming here shortly. We're just working with your marketing team to take all those amazing designs they created and then automate them through Cloze. So very easy to do. So just something to take advantage of and is coming very soon. So that's the property section. Analytics, you're going to see all kinds of analytics in here. You can see how you're doing with your goals, time, any kind of campaigns or mail sending you're going to see in there. Library, this is an area that's going to be built out over time. So we'll cover more of the marketing material in other classes. I want to spend most of the time today talking about how to organize contacts and get your core sphere in good place so you can take advantage of that. The reason you want to start off with getting your sphere organized is so that you can take advantage of sending them emails and things like that. So that's what we're going to start with. Then we'll get to some of the other content creation. The marketing team will be adding content in here as well. Okay, so those are the major sections. If you tap on more, you'll see some other ones you can look at. Your sent, that's your sent folder. Anything you've scheduled, you'll see that there. Any drafts you've saved. I'm going to dive into settings next. If I click on settings, now you're not going to spend a lot of time in settings, but it's good to know what's here in case you want to kind of use anything here. So under my account, this is where you can do things like enable two-step authentication. So if you want to enable that, we'll talk about more how you can delegate access and things like that. that's what you do in that area. Connected accounts. This is where you connect various services to Cloze. You can see these are all the services I have connected. Got a fair number connected to this account. You can see I got Canva connected and SkySlope and Dot Loop and lots of things here. BombBomb. All good examples of things you can connect. So at its core, though, I got a couple of email accounts connected. I got DocuSign, lots of different things. If I click on Add, this is where I can add other things to Cloze. So if I've got a second Google account I want to connect, I click on that. If I've got another Microsoft 365 account, I can connect that. One thing on 365 is that Microsoft changes its names all the time. So some older term you might say I've got an Exchange account. We do support old school Exchange, but it's probably not what you're using. I would almost always connect Microsoft 365. If you ever get stuck, just reach out to our support team, support@cloze.com. More than happy to help. If you're working as a team and you're setting up your account and you have a shared email account, select the shared email account. So if you have like team at whatever your team name is or leads at, and you've got that's your shared account or something like that, that's what that shared email account is for. So connect it there. That's one tip on that. But you can see there's a lot of different options here that you can connect, lots of different things. If you got any questions about integrations, feel free to ask our team. But Cloze is deeply integrated with a lot of different tools and services, hundreds of services. So reach out to us and more than happy to help there. So that's connected accounts. Going down a little further, let's look at display and layout. Now, this is an area where you can customize the look and feel of Cloze a little bit if you'd like. So if you want to hide any of the sections I showed you completely, I've got a couple hidden here. If you want to change what's visible on the left, you can do that, but you can do it by device. So phone, tablet, desktop. I'm on my desktop right now, so you can see what's visible. So if I don't want analytics visible for whatever reason, I hit save, that'll go away. Okay. So pretty easy. I want to bring it back, add it, hit save. Some people just check everything off because they just want to see everything. That's fine too. Width is the width of this column here. So you can say narrow. You can see how it just became narrow. I personally like medium. That's our default. Wide, you can go even wider if you have a big monitor. Font size, you can adjust that. And then you can tweak the icons. And then different display modes. So match system. So my computer's in dark mode. If I select that, it goes to dark mode. You can select dark mode to always be on. Light mode is our default with our color scheme. Or you can do light mono. There's another example. That's blue if you wanted a little like that. That's actually kind of helpful if anybody's red-green colorblind out there. I actually am. The light mode is actually quite helpful if you are. Okay. All right. So a few things to look at there. Those are just kind of minor customization type things. We'll get into more as we go here, but just wanted to give you a little bit of a tour, and then we'll come back and make sure we dig into a lot of details here. All right. So I'm going to switch over to another account, and then I'm going to go through a few more slides. Okay. So a question we always get at this point is, all right, I'm sold. I'm going to start using Cloze. Where do I get started? So it's kind of two big categories that we like to start you with, and then we can get into more over time. So the first one is just organizing your sphere. Organize the core set of contacts. Think about who are the leads that have just come in. You got current clients, past clients. Do you have spreadsheets? Do you have a holiday card list? Kind of getting your arms around that. If you have another CRM that you've been using, you want to get those contacts into Cloze, just reach out to us. We support migration of data across all the major CRMs out there. If you've got that, send it to us. We will take care of it for you. So I'm going to say that several times. We don't want you spending time trying to figure out how to import contacts into Cloze. It's actually pretty easy because we've got these standard importers, but just let us do it for you. Save you a lot of time. So organize your contacts. That's the bulk of today's presentation. And then we're going to have other classes on using it daily through the Cloze agenda. The agenda I just give you a quick tour of, but the nice thing about the agenda is it works out of the box. You don't have to do anything. So even if you don't organize a single contacts, it's still going to start surfacing people to your agenda. It's still going to be reminding you about things you need to get done, catching things in your email, catching leads and things like that. But the goal is to develop a routine. That's the key thing. When I've talked to coaches across all kinds of different things, they always talk about the best agents have a routine. So think of it as a morning routine, short, 15 minutes, half hour. It's not hours. The nice thing about the agenda too is that you can come back to it throughout the day. It's there for you. The mobile app is the exact same thing as the desktop. There's no functional difference between the platforms. So it's really easy. I love this from Jay here. This is from a couple of years ago, but yeah, it's like post-pandemic. He kind of bottomed out and he had been using Cloze for a lot of time and he kind of drifted off and he actually does ninja selling and he stopped doing the ninja selling and because it was just kind of easy during parts of the pandemic to get deals. And then all of a sudden his business dried up and he realized he really drifted. And so he kind of restarted his whole approach and just made it a routine. And that was the message. Is he got into it, he got his core sphere organized. That's what we're going to talk about. And then he just does it every day. And he's like, it's just made a huge difference in his business. And these are the stories that we love. And it does make a meaningful difference in your business. So invest a little time here and then stay on the agenda and you're going to be in really good shape. There's all kinds of things we can do. But if you look at the data, most of our business comes from repeat clients and referrals. Your sphere is your best source of leads. So getting that sphere in there and staying close to them will make a world of difference. Nothing will slip through. And he's got a great story. It's on our blog, but he talks about like clients that he had for a long time drifting off and working with other agents and he's kicking himself, right? Nobody wants to see that. And so if you stay on it, it'll make a big difference. So back of your mind, always remember that we're usually starting from a point of empty. With Cloze, you're not. You're going to get in there and you're going to see a lot of contacts. You're going to see hopefully the people that matter to you, plus anyone's you have us import or help you get imported. So we're going to start there and then we'll show you how to organize them. So when you first get in, you're going to see a little section there called Get Started. And there's 5 steps. First one is import your contacts. 365, phone contacts, spreadsheets. Those are kind of like the big 3 of where we see contacts. Contacts tend to be spread everywhere. We have a lot on our phones. We have Google contacts and we got spreadsheets. These are contacts we formally created. And that's what we're talking about here. Cloze is going to bring those together for you into one version of that contact. So you're not going to see a lot of duplicates. We're going to merge things automatically for you to help avoid that situation. Okay. Phone contacts are optional, but there's a lot of good data in there. So we do like to see them added. If you're on your computer, if you click the button, it's going to say, what's your mobile number? So we can have you download the mobile app. If you've already downloaded the mobile app, you can just jump ahead and then you can import those contacts. Really easy to do. So that's in settings. I'll show you what that looks like here. Jump over to my phone here. Just going to share it real quick. All right, there's my phone. All right, so there's Cloze on my phone. In order to import contacts from your device, you need to do it on your device. So lower right corner, tap on more. The reason I say that is you have to approve because Apple and Android have specific authorizations you need to say yes to. Settings is right here. Tap on settings. And then as you scroll down, you're going to see an import contacts area. So we're going to grab that. Losing my contact sync, sorry. Right there. Helps if you expand this section. Contact sync is right there. So I'm on an iPhone, so it says sync iPhone contacts to Cloze. If you're on an Android, it'll say sync Android contacts to Cloze. So all I got to do is toggle on that, and it's just going to import all the contacts. I'm not going to do it because this is a demo account, and I don't want to import my real contacts into this demo account. But if you toggle that on, it'll import them all. Very, very easy, and that will work continuously to sync any new contacts you add right into Cloze. So super simple. Tap on more, lower right, settings, contact sync, toggle that on. We got videos in our help center if you missed all that, but it's just an easy way to get them in there. And we will keep that going as you go. Okay. So the other one you're going to see on there is send us a spreadsheet. So if you've got a spreadsheet, you can do it by yourself. You'll see a self-service option, but take advantage of the let us import it for you and we'll take care of it. Again, you can also email us at support@cloze.com. Just send us a spreadsheet, give us some tips on what you want us to do with it, and we'll take care of it for you. All right, so what we're here to talk about today is the next step, which is organize your top 50 people. So we've got a built-in wizard that will help you speed through this. So you can just see a name and you can automatically organize it. So let's go through a little of that. One of the things I want to emphasize, though, is that you can pick what you want to import into Cloze. You don't have to import all your contacts. You don't have to import that spreadsheet. You can ease into it too. So just pick and choose what makes sense, but focus on the people that really matter to your business. Common question we get is, well, I have a Yahoo account I used to use 10 years ago, and it's got, people I used to work with in there and that kind of thing. That actually isn't a bad account to add because it's going to contribute to the history, even if you're not using it now. And we weed out all the junk mail and all that stuff. So it's just real people. That can actually be useful because those are people that are still part of your sphere. And now you got a new email account. Maybe you lost some of that history. Cloze will bring it all in there, and it can be actually quite helpful. Once you do get in there and start to dive in, what you're going to find is all the people you know with a timeline of all the communication history that you've connected. So if you've connected your phone and your text and all that, you're going to see that in there too. You'll see emails, meetings, all that rich history is there in a timeline view for you. We're also going to consolidate the contact information into one record as well. So if you have mobile phone on your name and mobile phone on your on your phone, and then contacts, and then on Google, you've got an email and a mobile phone and maybe an address. It's going to blend that stuff together. So you got one nice consistent record across all the devices. We tend to have information scattered. This will help bring it together. One tip on this is if you see a number at the top or an email address at the top, that's the last one where you've communicated with that person. So in this case, I dialed this contact on the mobile and I emailed on their business email. And then, of course, with everything together, it makes it super easy to reach out and phone them and do all the things you'd expect. So that's the nice thing about it being consolidated is you're not like, where's their phone number? Where's their email address? And you're bopping around between apps all in one place. Okay. Another important note here is that contacts from Cloze can get synced back to Google or back to 365. So if you're in any of those platforms, you'll have the contacts in one place. Okay. So if we go over to this account here, here's a demo account. This is what the getting started looks like. So if I was to click on the import contacts, it brings up that wizard. So import your phone, you'd put your number in there. It'll text you the app. The import a file, here's the options. If you select the let us import it for you, it brings up an email and see it says to support. You just attach your file, type in some notes, and you can hit send and it'll go right to our support team. So we make that really easy. It's built right in, easy to do. Okay. All right. So when it comes to organizing, a few things to point out here. You don't need to organize every single contact. That's the good thing about AI. We want you to kind of focus down on the core. So that example I gave you with Jay Sheraton, he's organized, his sphere is about 200, 250 contacts, not that many. The sphere tends to be a very strong set of contacts that yield a lot of business. So you want to boil it down as much as you can. Most of that's going to be clients you've worked with in the past, but it's also going to include people that refer you business in your network that you want to stay close to. So that's the core. And I've seen some of the top agents in the country have a very tight sphere, but yield a ton of business out of that very tight sphere. So quantity isn't always as important as quality. You can still put the quantity on things like drip campaigns, or you can get them set up on property alerts, things like that, newsletters, but you're not going to be talking to them all the time, trying to stay in live flow. So always kind of separate your live versus your automated. So you got live flow and auto flow, if you think of it that way. So what we're talking about here is getting the foundation of the live flow in really good shape. So in Cloze, we have a section there, if you've been on the other webinars, called the relationship section. This is all about the journey. So where on the journey is that person with me? And that's always a cycle because it's always changing, right? In real estate. This person, I've got a warm buyer. So Zach came in. I'm trying to get him a little further along the journey. So hopefully he buys something using me as his agent. So I'm warm. I'm still trying to qualify a little early in the journey. This example, I've advanced on to hot. Okay, so that's what we call a stage. Warm, hot, in contract, closed, and lost. Call those stages. They're fixed to keep things simple, but you can kind of think of it, and you probably heard terminologies like who's on my warm list, who's on my hot list. That's pretty common. So if you get somebody on the warm stage, they're warm. If they're on the hot list, they're hot. Easy. Okay. In contract, and then closed. Lost, tend to be pretty aggressive with lost. If they're not getting back to you, mark them lost and put them on a drip campaign. Okay. Buyer, it's the segment as we call it. So I've got a hot buyer here. Under segment, you're going to see things like seller, renter, well, that kind of stuff, right? And you can customize those if you need to. Steps are repeatable checklists that you write once and you reuse over and over again. Each stage and segment combination can have its own checklist, its own set of steps. So if you have a checklist you use that you follow every single time to follow up with your leads, your hot buyers, whatever they might be, you can put that in Cloze. We're going to give you a checklist to get started, but the repetition keeps you on track. Steps are really, really handy for staying organized. What did I do last? What do I need to get done to move this contact forward? And you can group them into goals and things like that. But at its core, this is quite helpful for keeping yourself organized. So you can see there are some steps: initial outreach, call for appointment, whatever your checklist looks like, you can get that into Cloze. I'll show you where that exists in settings. So if I was to go over to this section here, I've got demo contact. Here are the stages: warm, hot, in contract, closed. I've got segments here. So I'm going to select buyer. So he's a buyer, and I'm going to say he's hot. Okay. I can have whatever steps I want. Create buyer packet, buyer interview showings. These are all the things I have as hot. Okay. As I move down my checklist. If I mark that done, it's going to move to the next step. It's in a flow. And you can change how that interacts, but the combination of these will help me stay on track. And I can look ahead to see what I need to do for in contract. And even when it's closed, I have some follow-up routine to stay close to this contact. So that's where steps can be very handy. If you go into settings and go down to the customization section, you look at people and companies, you can see here that this is where I can customize by segment. So if we go to buyers, I click on the gear, I can then do a bunch of things. I'm going to scroll down. I'll come back to that, but I can add my own custom steps. So you'll see some starting points in there, but if I want to add steps, I can just click add and add my step. Really simple. Or I can change any of the ones I have here to a different name. You can even tie templates to the step. So when it comes due, you have something already pre-written, you can send them or text them. Easy to do. We've got lots of instructions in our help center, but I want to make sure I give you the quick view of how to customize this if you wish to do so. And if anybody has any questions, our team is keeping an eye on those questions about this, but customization is easy to do. The part that I skipped over are the keep in touch settings. Keep in touch settings here. We talked about at the beginning how Cloze will keep you on top of your relationships by nudging you, putting them back in front of you. You can see here my warm buyers I've set to a week. My hot buyers every 2 days. My in contract every 2 days. So really tight cycles for them. So nothing gets by. But if I'm talking to a hot buyer like Aaron here every day, then I'm not going to get reminded. Now, 2 days is pretty aggressive. I don't know if I'd probably say a week, something like that. Maybe this would be more appropriate like that, whatever you want. But you can just use the sliders to set it. Okay. And then if you want to reorganize this drop down, you can just change the order, that kind of thing. Easy to do. All right. Now, when it comes to importing contacts, we have a variety of options. I would highly recommend not getting too worried about the volume of contacts. Cloze does a good job of managing contacts. So a lot of systems, they kind of tap out after a certain number of contacts. What's different about Cloze is that because of the AI and the way we surface contacts automatically, even if you imported 1,000 contacts off your phone, that doesn't really matter, right? You want to get the key ones are going to get surfaced to the top through our analysis and through the AI surfacing them in front of you. So a traditional CRM, I'd be really paranoid about taking all those phone contacts and putting them in my CRM. With Cloze, it's actually okay because we give you lots of ways to see your contacts, but also the AI is going to surface the people that matter, and all those people that may not matter on your phone are just going to kind of fall to the wayside. Okay. So I wouldn't worry too much about the volume of contacts. We also have ways that you can filter and see just the ones that came from your phone and things like that if you wanted to go through it. So I would try to get the big picture in there, organize the core sphere, and let the AI do the rest. You don't have to make it as neat and tidy as other CRMs, because other CRMs you have to do a lot of scrolling to find what you're looking for. With Cloze, we're surfacing the people that matter. Okay. So it's a little bit of a different approach. And so sometimes getting to that point is a little harder. All right. So when it comes to organizing, we have a built-in wizard. That's step 2. And what happens here is we're going to use AI to analyze who you know best, and we're going to put them in here first. So the people you know at the best are going to be at the top. You can skip ahead, or you can just mark them. They're a warm buyer, hot buyer, they're closed, whatever they might be. You just kind of flip through, and it's a fast way of organizing. So here's kind of a little video, and I'll show it live in a second. So you can see I got Cameron here. He's a buyer, and I'm marking him hot. And there's Matt. He's a buyer and seller. He's transacting both ways. There's a seller. You can see how fast it is to just say, okay, I'm just going to go through this. The key thing here is it's focused on the people at the top of your list. It's the people you interact with the most. It's the people you know best. So you're not starting alphabetically and working through the list, which is where a lot of people tend to start because they're like, I don't know any other way to go through it. I'm going to go A to Z. Because Cloze has analyzed your full communication history, it actually knows who you know best, and it's putting the most important people at the top. And so you'll see them first. So you don't spend hours getting through the A's, the B's, the C's. If you do it that way, you're never going to get there. And I don't recommend that at all. All right, let me show you what that looks like. So if we go here, you can see organize your top 50. If I click on that, it's going to bring up, and these are my top 4 segments. So I got buyer, buyer and seller, seller, and renter. Buyer and seller just means they're transacting both ways. So if they're working with you to buy and sell at the same time. So I've got John, he's a hot buyer. I just click here. Now I got Rob, and he's a warm seller. I got Willow, she's in contract. Troy is in contract. And you can get the idea. I can just move through the list very quickly. If I wanted to skip Elizabeth, so I'm not sure, I can just hit the arrow here and skip ahead. And then you just pick. You can move through that way. Okay. So it makes it very, very easy to go through your contacts. When you're in the people section, our default sorting order is best relationship. So who do you know best is at the top. If you start there, that tends to be the core of your sphere. The other ones you should look at are things like first met, last interacted, they last engaged, because we're using the communication history to guide the sort order, which is also very unique when it comes to organizing contacts, because usually we're just kind of left on our own and we don't have any way of knowing when did I meet this person? When was the last time we talked? That kind of thing. Some other ones that are really helpful, created. So first time the contact was created, find all those. New and untouched. So contacts came in from somewhere, a spreadsheet, a device, something like that, but you've never talked to them. You can look at them. Contacts to classify. This is our AI saying, hey, look at these contacts. You should probably organize them. So these are some really good sorting orders that you can use out of the gate to get you in the right place. We also have a lot of ways to filter the information. So if you're trying to find contacts in specific ranges, when was the first time I met somebody what year did I meet somebody, things like that. You can dive into some of these kind of power filters for yourself. We've got help in our help center that goes into great detail on these, but these power filters, as I just call them, can be actually really handy to find specific ones. So if there's something that you're trying to find and you're looking for ranges, so when did I meet somebody, and I'm trying to find, the last week, last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, things like that, it's actually pretty helpful. Or in a range of on or before, and I can even pick years that I'm looking for. That kind of stuff's helpful. So lots of options in there for you too, as you're trying to parse through and go through it. If you really want to do a deep dive, most of the time I just start at the top and go through that wizard, start there, and then you'll kind of ease into it over time. I know it's hard from a control standpoint of saying, okay, I want to limit these contacts from going in. I don't want to organize all these. I want to organize these. You don't have to do that as much when you've got AI running alongside you. Okay. So you can also do this in bulk. So I've shown you some examples here, and that's what those check marks are for that you might have just noticed. So it allows you to do actions in a group of people. So another way to think of it is, I've got all these people. I'm going down. Let me pick some of the people I haven't organized. So if I say, all right, I know this one, this one, this one, and this one, these are all a certain type. I can then change whatever I'd like in bulk. So I can pick off many contacts at once and say they're hot and seller, right? So, and go through and add whatever I'd like. So there's other ways to do it in bulk, but that wizard is a really good starting point for you. Okay. If you ever need to use the organizer, just click on the plus, quick organize, and it'll bring up from the people section as well. Okay. Just keeping an eye on the time here. All right. So when it comes to organizing, I know I've said this a few times, but try not to over-organize. It's very tempting to try to sort alphabetically and go through all of them. And I'm sure that's why there's the questions around, well, I've got a lot of contacts on my phone. I don't want to import them all. Those tends to be where the best data is. So I still would encourage you to import those contacts and then use the tools we have within Cloze to get to the root of who really matters. The other ones can fall by the wayside, and our team can give you techniques if you reach out on finding those contacts that came in from your phone, so you can just look at those. So we have a way to do that if you wanted to just kind of narrow it down. Because if you look at the flip side, it would take you just as long to go through all the 1,000 contacts on your phone as it would to do it outside of Cloze. So there's actually more tools in Cloze to help you focus in on them. And then you can archive off the ones that don't matter once you're in Cloze, and they'll stay out of your way. So some good techniques there that walk you through it. I wouldn't waste any time deleting contacts, because you can spend your whole day deleting contacts, and that's just not a good use of time. We do have archiving. You can use it if you absolutely want to, but I wouldn't spend a lot of time on it. The goal, though, is to really get to that top 200 stronger relationships with fewer people approach. That'll make a big difference. If you do want to say you got some contacts that came in from Google or a spreadsheet or wherever that you don't want, archiving is the default. So select archiving. The reason this is important is that Cloze doesn't know that contact that it finds on your phone, if you delete it out of Cloze, it doesn't remember that you deleted it. It's never going to know you deleted it, but it will know if it's archived. So if you archive it off, it's just basically saying, yep, I've seen that contact before. I'm going to keep it off to the side in the archive. So archive it, and then you won't see it in your flow. On the subject of archiving, one of the things we get is, well, all the kids' soccer team people are in my phone, and I don't want them in my CRM. That may be true, but those people are also really good targets for real estate, right? So there is this kind of debate of, should they be in there or not? And so sometimes leaving the bigger sphere, letting it surface, and then there's those opportunities that pop up. You're like, oh, I actually do have their email. I can put them on a drip campaign to get them information, and maybe I do pick them up as a client, even though they're on the sideline with me. So there is those opportunities out there if we're mining our entire sphere, not just the ones we formally track and create. As you look at the stages, I try to, like, from a strategy standpoint, just say, okay, I'm going to focus on my leads today or my current clients, whatever it might be. Break that down, and you can, it just logically kind of makes, it can be a little easier to go through it all. As I mentioned before, use those sorting options. They're really, really helpful. If I'm trying to get to somebody and I can't remember the name or when I met them, I will use these filters and knock it down. And we have got lots of help in our help center. We've got our own Cloze University too that you can take advantage of. That's at learn.cloze.com. Really great resource for you to learn how to use things in bite-sized ways. So a lot more than just these classes that you can dive into. But once you have this core sphere in good shape, you'll be really able to do quite a bit. Now, one that you want to dive into over time is what we call discovered people. The contacts you're going to see in the main view, and by the main view, I'm talking about my people here. The contacts you see in discovered people down here are contacts that Cloze discovered from your communications and is put off to the side in discovered people. So we know they exist. You've communicated with them. They're of some value because you've gone back and forth, but you've never formally created them as a contact. You didn't put them in Google. You didn't put them on your phone. You didn't put them anywhere else. So they're just off to the side, but they are part of your sphere because you've had conversations with them. We put them off to the side so that if you do decide to engage with them in some other way and you want to organize them, or you want to start putting them on a drip campaign, or whatever you want to do with them, they are there for you. The other important thing to know about them is if they are super important, we're going to surface them automatically onto the agenda because we see that you're engaging with them on a regular basis. You just haven't formally created the contact. So if you're in Cloze and you're looking for somebody and you're searching, you're like, I know I talked to them, look and discover people, because chances are that's where they are. And you can just organize them as a hot buyer, warm seller, whatever it might be. But discover people is very helpful because it's kind of like a holding area for all the people you're interacting with, but you haven't formally decided, okay, I want to put them and organize them as part of my sphere. Okay, so next I want to dive into tags. Tags are a great way to organize beyond your journey, right? So we talked about stages and segments and next steps, but tags give you a way to cut across it. I'm sure if you've used other platforms, you've used tags before. They're very handy because they give you kind of a very precise way of saying, okay, this person is this way. And it can be used in a lot of different ways. You can have as many tags as you'd like. They are good for things like holiday cards or gift giving, but they span across the segments so that if somebody moves from a buyer to a seller, you still have the tag holiday card. So from a practical sense, they're just kind of more permanent because the journey will move, but the tag stays on there unless you remove it. I also like them for tracking common interests across clients. So you got all the people who have dogs and you want to tag them, and then you can send them information about dog parks, or maybe you've got a dog and you want to do a get together or something. Common interests are a really good way to engage with your sphere. So cooking, I've seen all kinds of really creative ways of engaging around their own passions. So it could be, I've seen racing, I've seen bourbon drinking, lots of cooking, travel, gardening, like all kinds of activities, right? These are all good ways because you're passionate about these other activities, and it gives you a way to engage. And that's usually part of your sphere. That's how you get your clients. So these things are all kind of wrapped together. And so tags can be a great way to cut across. So add the tags, and then you can easily reach out. So example there with the soccer, right? So it could be all the people on the soccer team, you put a tag and you got them enclosed, and then you can kind of decide how you want to use that group. And then it's very easy to find people that have that tag. So you can just put in our system, put a hashtag, and then you can find those people. So let's go back here. I'm going to go to Gina. You can see I've got foodie. So I know that she's passionate about the food scene. She gets an annual gift. She's on my holiday card list in my newsletter. Easy, right? If I was to search for holiday card, I can find all the people like Gina, and you can see a preview here. This is one of the reasons I like this table view, is I can see a lot of information, but I can see all the tags. So these are all the people, all 101 that have the holiday card tag. And the whole reason we're doing this is for things like reaching out. So I can now do a mail merge. That gives us a way to reach out in a very authentic way to all 101 people. You can see how it's flipping through their names. Each person here is going to get their own copy of this email when I send it. And so if I was to look outside of Cloze, I'd see 101 emails go out the door. So we got 4th of July coming up. I can click on our ghostwriter here, say other topic, and I'll say wish client happy 4th of July. And then I can have the ghostwriter write content for me. So I just wrote something up. I'm going to just insert that. So quickly, I just wrote something up using our built-in AI. I've got 101 people. And now if I hit send, it's going to send 101 emails out of my Gmail in this case. So it looks like I typed this up individually to each person there. So Julia and Ariel and Ashley, all the people you see going by right here, they're all going to get their own unique copy. So coming back to why we organize so that we can do things like this in a really tight way, scale in a very authentic way, reach out, but then use all the other features of Cloze. So if you get the baseline in there, it can be quite helpful. Another tip, when you connect SkySlope or .loop, we're going to automatically organize based on all the people that you've done a transaction with. So buy side, sell side, they'll all be in there and organized. Now, I also want to dive into the profile here as we wrap up. I know we're at the top of the hour, but we talked about those reminders for important dates. If you connect SkySlope, it's going to set the purchase or sale anniversary. You can see right here. But you can also set birthday, wedding anniversary, real estate review. These are common times where you might want to set so that Cloze will remind you on the agenda, because it gives you nice ways to engage. So you can set that in there. Just scroll down. These sections expand. So I had them all collapsed. So if I click important dates, it expands, and then I can set those dates. So as you're using the profile, these are the expanding these sections. You can start to add more information in if you want to. So as a recap, timeline, this is the timeline. This goes back as far in time as we can go. And you can expand this anything to see the full detail. You can reply to anything that's in here, so you can see the full email, reply if you'd like. So all that content is there. Any notes you've created are going to be here. If you wanted to add a note, click on the pencil and then create note. I could add a note or a to-do. Anything you do here is based on the person you're looking at. So I'm looking at Gina, I hit compose, it's going to do that. So if I said send email, you can see it's to Gina. So these are all the ways you interact with the contact. You can also use the compose. Okay. There's the journey we were just talking about. So she's a hot buyer, and I can set steps if I want to. I'm using a checklist. Then if I expand the section, I can look at contact info that I have for her at a glance. These are just kind of simple notes I've taken, which are helpful. Details. These are, section is really helpful to include things like referral. So who referred Gina to me? So I linked Monty. Spouse, children, also really helpful. So I linked Max, her spouse. I created a contact and linked their kid too. Lead source, all good things you can start to add over time. If you want to edit a contact, right here, edit next to their name, and then you can add all kinds of information. Contact info right there too. If you don't have a phone number or an email address or postal address, when you're over here, it's going to give you it'll give you an option to create one right from the button there too. All right, so we are right at the top of the hour, so I just want to grab a couple of slides here to wrap up. Too many slides. All right, so last slide that I'm supposed to show here. This is where, as we end up. So if you haven't started using Cloze, you want to sign up, you can scan that QR code, and that'll take you right over the survey, and then you can fill that out and get right into Cloze as your CRM of choice. All right, just from my team, if there's any questions, you can put them over there in Slack. Otherwise, I think or if you've got questions and you're out watching, feel free to put them in and I'll try to hit them here in the last couple of minutes. All right. Well, I think we're good then. I appreciate everybody taking the time today to learn more about how you can get started with Cloze. Wednesday we'll be back. We're going to go and do just kind of a high level of what Cloze is all about. And then you'll start to see throughout the summer here, we're going to have more and more classes that we can dive into to learn about more of all the different features we have. We'll dive into more of the marketing and the Canva and all that kind of stuff too. All right. Okay. Thanks everyone. Appreciate it.